Alright, y'all hold up because today's tea is a whole different vibe. Things in Dallas are heating up, and I'm talking about some serious under-the-radar info. We've got big names on the radar, heavy trade rumors, and even a little bit of good news right in the middle of all the chaos. Stick with me because the last part is going to hit different for anyone who bleeds silver and blue. But first, let me get on y'all for a second. Almost 90% of the people who watch these videos still haven't hit that subscribe button. Y'all help us build this star nation. Smash that like button. It makes a huge difference. Drop a comment. I want to hear your voice in this whole conversation because this space belongs to all of us. So, listen up, fam. You remember our talk from last week, right? Micah Parsons is gone. That trade to the Packers still stings. And it left this huge hole, and everyone was asking who's going to hold it down on the defensive line now. Well, it didn't take long for a hot name to pop up. Devin Clowney. The dude visited Dallas, talked to the front office, heard the offer, but he hasn't signed yet. The good part, though, is that Brian Schottenheimer, our head coach, is all fired up about it. And it's not that cold, detached talk we've gotten used to from the Joneses, who always make free agency sound like some impossible task. Nah, Schottenheimer's practically got his phone glued to his hand. The guy even told reporters he called Clowney and talked to his kids. The kid even joked, "I don't know you." And the coach shot back, "You will soon enough." What does that show you? That there's new energy in the building. That this man is hungry to bring in new pieces to help. And look, Clowney might not be the same guy from the start of his career, but he can still be scary. We know he's strong against the run and can get after the quarterback when he's locked in. Imagine putting him next to the young guys we already have on the roster, just holding things down until the front office figures out a bigger move. He might not be the final solution, but he's a clutch emergency fix that can get the locker room fired up. To be honest with you all, I see it two ways. First, if he signs, cool. He brings experience. He knows the tricks of the trade, and he'll help with the rotation. Second, if he doesn't sign, at least it shows the coach isn't sleeping. He's not just waiting for the draft or some miracle. And that's a huge change in mindset, isn't it? Because we've always suffered from that passiveness. We always saw big names pass us by while the front office said, "Nah, he just doesn't fit." Now, of course, there's the flip side. Clowney hasn't said yes yet, and everyone knows veteran players love to hear more offers to see who offers the most guaranteed money. The risk is there, but the mere fact that Dallas made an offer and the coach is still in direct contact puts pressure on other teams. It's like sending a message. We're in the market. Get ready. So, what do you all think? Is it worth bringing in Clowney now, even if he's not the dominant playmaker of the past? Or should we save our money for another opportunity? Comment below. I want to feel the temperature of the room on this one because trust me, this story is not over. And hold on tight because the next piece of news involves another pass rusher and could get the fan base even more divided. Now, get a load of this because if the Clowney talk left us feeling kind of wishy-washy, this next one is way more aggressive. Bleacher Report just dropped a rumor that the path forward could be totally different. A trade with the Miami Dolphins for Jalen Phillips. And that's a whole different conversation because he's not just a one-year veteran. He's a guy who was a first-round pick, the 18th pick in 2021. Let's get straight to the point. Phillips has talent. Nobody can argue with that. 22 sacks in his first 3 years. So much upside, but he also has a heavy history of injuries. He had that Achilles tear in 2023, then his knee in 2024. And that definitely gives you pause, right? Is it worth the risk? According to Christopher Knox, the deal would go down like this. Dallas sends a 4th-round pick in 2026 to the Dolphins. Miami, with their coach on the hot seat, might be willing to clean house and open up the cap. They'd rather get something now than lose the guy for free in 2026. It's a win-win. Each side gets some sort of advantage. But let's be real. For us, the fans, it's a double-edged sword. If Phillips comes back strong and healthy, it could be a steal. A young pass rusher, hungry, ready to show he's still got it. In the long run, he could even become a centerpiece of the defense. But if the injuries come back, he becomes dead weight. And we've seen that in Dallas before. It's not new. You know what gets me pumped? Seeing the front office even considering this because for so many years, the mentality was to not touch draft picks, to not risk anything. Now, it seems like they finally understood that a Super Bowl window is short. When you lose Parsons, you need to replace him with impact. You can't just rely on cheap veterans. So, even if this doesn't happen, the very debate shows progress. So, I'm asking you, would you be down to pay that 4th-round pick in 2026? It's a gamble for sure, but think about it. If it works out, we solve part of our pass rush problem for years. And if it doesn't, it's a mid-round pick. Nothing that will destroy our future. The women who follow the team are also demanding a stronger defense. Nobody can stand seeing the opposing QB cooking in the pocket. And there's more. If Dallas signs Phillips and still finds another way to beef up the secondary, we could be looking at a totally revamped defense. It's risky, but it's that bold move that separates a team that dreams from a team that wins. Now, Don't go anywhere because the next news is all about the secondary and a big name is being thrown around. This one, if it happens, could completely change the vibe in the locker room. Check this out. If we were already talking about pass rushers, now the conversation gets even more delicate. The secondary, and it's not just some small thing either. Darren Bland, our ALP pro, hurt his foot in practice. He's going to miss weeks with no clear timetable for his return. When I saw that, my heart almost jumped out of my chest because you all know how much that guy holds it down for us. So, what do? Christopher Knox, the same guy who talked about Phillips, threw out a suggestion. Dallas sending a 5th-round pick in 2026 and a 3rd-round pick in 2027 to the Browns in exchange for Greg Noemi, the former 1st-rounder, 26th pick from 2021. And I'm going to tell you folks, it makes sense. Newsome is young, 25 years old, and he can play both on the outside and in the slot. He's coming off a strong game against the Bengals, holding opposing QBs to a 68.7 passer rating. He's a versatile guy, not just a band-aid. If he comes here, he instantly raises the level of the unit. Now, there's a catch. He becomes a free agent in 2026. So, if we trade for him, we have to immediately think about a contract extension. And that's where that annoying front office math comes in. Is it worth giving up picks and then having to open up the checkbook later? But honestly, if our trio is Diggs, Bland, and Newsome, we're talking about a top secondary in the league. And that's where the fan in me comes in. Can we wait for a reinforcement? I don't see how. We already lost Parsons. Our defense is on the ropes. Without Bland, we're way too exposed. If we want to compete for a championship, we need to make a move. And this trade shows boldness. It shows that the team isn't going to accept using injuries as an excuse. Of course, the risk exists. Last year, Newsome only started 3 games. His numbers were average. 27 tackles, 5 passes defended, 1 interception. But that could also be an opportunity because the Browns might not be able to keep him long term. And Dallas, with the extra capital after the Parsons trade, can spend without it being a huge burden. I got to admit, I like the idea. It's not just about the name, it's about the message. When you bring in someone like Newsome, you show the roster that the front office hasn't given up on the season. And that does wonders for morale. It changes the locker room. Even the women in the fan base are saying, we need someone who can bring confidence to the secondary. And they are absolutely right. So, I'll throw it to you all. Is giving up future picks worth the immediate safety? Because if we get this deal done, we can have a respected defense again. But hold on a second. The next piece of news brings an unexpected moment of relief and could even change how quickly the front office needs to act. After all that talk about injuries and trade rumors, we finally get a break. Juana Thomas is back at practice. It might seem like a small detail, but at a time when the secondary is at its limit, any positive news is huge. He had missed practice for personal reasons which had everyone worried. But on Friday, he was back in action already getting ready for the game against the Giants. And I'm going to be honest, you can't just treat this like, oh, he's just another guy. Nah, Juan has an important role to play. He helps in the slot. He can rotate with Bell, Childress, Stewart. He gives us a breather and some experience. In a week where we lost Bland, seeing Thomas back is almost like a group hug for the fan base. Especially because we all know how much this unit suffers when it lacks depth. What I found interesting was that Schottenheimer himself said that Thomas could be a key piece in this adaptation. He's not a star, he doesn't have a big name, but he's a player who understands the system and does his job. And honestly, on an injured defense, that's worth gold because if we have to just rely on improvisation, we dan. Now, of course, he's not a final solution. His return doesn't eliminate the need for an outside reinforcement, but it buys us time. It gives us a breath. You can use Bell more freely, let Triss gain confidence, and keep Stewart on pace. It's a rotation that prevents us from burning out our guys in week 2. And let's be real, going up against the Giants without this kind of depth would be suicide. The fans feel this, right? It's one thing to go into a game knowing you have at least 4 guys rotating. It's another to go in with a patched-up secondary, praying nobody gets gassed. So yeah, this return is huge. It's that kind of news you drop in the group chat and everyone just responds with a huge shoe. And since we're talking about depth, here's a thought. If Dallas holds it down against New York with this group, the front office might even get more time to negotiate for a reinforcement calmly. They won't have to overpay in a panic. And that, my friends, could be the difference between making the right trade and making a move out of desperation. For me, the message is clear. Even with Bland out, we're not going to see a defense that's given up. This team still has depth, and we still have a coach who is moving pieces around. And when someone like Wayne Thomas comes back, you can feel that the team believes because morale counts for a lot, maybe even more than statistics. So, do you all agree with me? This return doesn't solve everything, but it changes the mood. It brings a different kind of energy. Comment below. I want to hear from every single one of you, because let me tell you, the next topic is going to tie everything together and show what this moment means for our season. Look, After all this, it's clear this team is going through some heavy transition days. It's not just about Clowney, or just about Phillips Newsome, or Thomas' return. It's about our posture. The Dallas Cowboys are finally making moves without being afraid to take risks. And that gets to us. It gets to the fan base. The Star feels different when we know the front office isn't just sitting around. Drop a comment.